We will begin with the sky. It's going to be a simple graded wash. To begin, we will pick only one color. Your sky can be whatever color you want. I'm going to do an orange sky. If you have a bigger brush, to start out with, bigger brushes will help spread your paint a little bit better. But if you have a smaller brush, it'll work too. I'm going to start out with my paint across the top. Just filling it in. You don't have to go all the way to the edge, but you can if you would like. Now remember, for a graded wash, I'm going to dip my paint into the water, wipe off that extra water, let go of some of the paint to create a lighter value. I'm going to do this maybe twice, maybe 3 times. And it's just water bringing down my paint. Now, the paper will warp a little bit. You can see it starting to stick up over here on this side. That'll be okay. And just pull some more color down. Keep spreading it out. This is my sky. Now to begin creating land, I'm going to create a few different graded washes for my different land masses. I'll start, so I did a orange sky. I'm going to do some turquoise grounds. Now, I don't want too dark of a color in my brush, so I'm going to wipe it out up here in my tray, grab some water, wipe it out here in the tray. So I have a really light version of my color. I know that. I can even take a little piece of scrap paper that I have next to me to see how bright it or how dark it's going to be. That's a little bit dark for me. And I'm just going to simply kind of paint a little bit of a very light line back here. Now I'll grab more water and I'll just paint in underneath it. I'm going to rinse out my brush completely so it's just water, and I'm going to fade out that bottom edge. And this is a thing that I'm going to continue. I'm going to be creating some little bit of some land masses or some hills with that color, and it's going to get darker as it gets closer and closer to the foreground or closer and closer to the bottom of the paper. So let's see here. This is still just a little bit wet. It might bleed a little bit, but I'm okay with that. So maybe this one I'm gonna have come up and over. I'm gonna fill in the bottom part of that. You can see that it was still a little bit wet here, not as much over here. You can see how it's bleeding. That's okay. Now remember, I'm going to rinse out my brush and scrumble and soften up this bottom edge. I'm going to grab some water and soften up this bottom edge. I want it to kind of fade out. And you guys can start to see a little bit with this paper, with this sketch paper. The paper kind of starts, sometimes if I'm working it too much, it kind of starts to fall apart a little bit, but that's okay. Alright, I'm going to just take a dry brush, kind of dry this out a little bit. And we'll continue. Alright, next one's going to be a little bit darker. Now you could be patient and wait for a little bit for this part to dry. I'm just kind of going quickly because I don't want you to have to sit here and wait for me. Now my next land mass, maybe this one's going to go here. Maybe I want it to come up a little bit more. Cool. There we go. Remember, I'm just going to grab water to soften up this edge. I don't want it real hard. Okay, we're going to be doing several of these little practice ones. They're meant to be an exercise and starting to help you understand. Starting to help you understand landscape and how we can create great distance. This felt a little light to me, so I just added a little bit more paint in there. You can see that my paper's really starting to kind of come apart, but you guys should have better paper. I think that I gave you better paper. So you can always add in more along those edges. If you want things to be a little bit darker, or maybe you want to kind of make it look kind of like bushies, right? Maybe it's going to have some trees along that edge, so it doesn't have to be real straight. That got real dark in this area. Try and bring some of that in here. There we go. So, we have our very simple graded washes. We started out with our sky that is coming down over almost halfway. Our very first landmass in the background was about as light of a value as we could make. We faded it down with our graded wash. We let it dry for a brief moment. Made our next hill, graded wash, let it dry. Our next hill, darker as we continue to move forward. I hope this information was helpful. Please, this is an exercise. It's meant to be a sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's meant to be a place that you are allowed to make mistakes. So enjoy it.